Hey guys, it's Nate, aka TheFutAccountant. Welcome back to the channel. What a day. The FC26 hype is real after EA finally dropped the launch update pitch notes that we were waiting for. And what a day. I'm sat here in suspenders and a bow tie post-wedding celebration. Shout out Jake and Mackenzie. It was a fantastic time. But I couldn't miss this, guys. What a day of news that people are calling maybe the greatest pitch notes from EA that we have ever had. And you guys have already read through this. I don't want to read through this today and discover it with you guys because I've read through it. I've listened to it already. What I want to do is dive into my 4 biggest takeaways from this and dig a little deeper into how this news affects us from day 1 of getting on FC26. So if you're excited for FC26 now because of this release and even more excited, make sure to drop a thumbs up, drop a hype in the video, and subscribe if you are new. Now, let's start with why this is such a hype release of pitch notes, guys. And I think the number one reason is it was a surprise. Nobody expected to hear about silver icons or Scream promo coming back, or even some of the things about the DKT, a daily tournament starting during early access, even things like chemistry styles being refreshed. None of us suspected this stuff. GG's EA for not letting that get leaked. Most of the stuff from this was not, and that just makes it more fun and exciting as we lead into 26. And a lot of these changes are things that the community has been asking for, which does go along with the rhetoric that we have in FC26 that the club is yours and EA's been changing all these things for us. But we also need to continue to be, I think, critical about some things, and we'll talk about that today. But man, the overwhelming feeling from this is that it is very, very exciting. Now, number one, the takeaway that I want to focus on first is what we're going to be doing first when we log into the web app in just a couple of days. Guys, early access content, they gave us a huge look inside how FC26 is going to start for us this year. And after reading a bit about early access, the Cornerstones promo that's going to come after that, there's going to be a daily knockout tournament during early access. And there's going to be some other things in here like World Tour, Squad Foundations. There's going to be objectives, of course, for the new season of England 66. What I'm learning from this is we need to take the Premier League / Women's Super League as our starter league at the beginning of FC26. It may seem like a small thing, but I think it may end up helping a lot in a couple of different areas. First of all, as we've mentioned before, objectives. Again, this is English Premier League and Barclays Women's Super League focused content to celebrate the triumph of the wingless wonders, packs, player picks, items, evolution cosmetics, and more. There's going to be some objectives in there. You're going to need English cards. And then at the very end, it says close the season with the One Nation tournament where you'll test your English squad. Now, the players that we get from those starter packs of choosing our first league when we log into the game, we won't be using those. But we could use those players to potentially get some of these objectives done to get these players that we'll want to keep around in our club, whether to use in our main team like this one, Yeri and Rogers, Tamori, Kobe Mainu, and James Ward-Prowse look good enough to go into our main teams for sure. Where's that one? It's right here. These are the official stats for those cards, by the way, if you guys did not see it. Wanyeri looks very good. Like, very good. No Playstyle Plus for him, but looks awesome. Kobe Mainu looks usable with the Playstyle Plus. Morgan Rogers looks very usable. And Tamori, I think people are in agreement on this, that card looks the most usable, the most OP out of all these cards. But actually, I saw a really interesting tweet yesterday. This kind of gets into point number 2, which we're not going to get to yet, the power curve. But that card for 86 rated Tamori, if you compare the stats on that card to 83 rated gold Tamori last year in FC25, they are very comparable. And that is another picture of how the power curve is going to slow down. His base card is lower than that. This is a card that we're probably not going to get until mid to late October. Like, think about it. That's going to be probably the end reward of the season pass at level 35 or level 40 or wherever we're at. And that's the card that we're going to be at. So that's one thing to think about there with these World Tour cards. But again, England is the theme of this season, England 66. And the other thing that is going to be involved with the England cards, and this is, I think, where it's really important to choose Premier League / Women's Super League and try to get a lot of those English cards straight away at the start of FC26, is right here, Advanced SBCs. We talked about this a lot last week. The Advanced SBCs, as we know them, are changing, but they're not gone, actually. It says here, Advanced SBCs such as League and Nation Hybrid have evolved over time, but they said that Advanced SBCs will now drop gradually across the cycle. Whether that means they're going to release the exact same, hybrid League and Nation hybrid, League hybrid SBCs that we've had for a long time, or if they're going to change them up, they're going to be releasing advanced SBC still, which is nice. However, this is the kicker, right? With rewards and requirements that scale to the state of the game, and they're going to be themed across the current season that they are in. So this first season is going to be about England 66 once again. So these first advanced SBCs will probably be related to Women's Super League cards, Premier League cards, and English cards. So having some of those players right away, if we're getting that SBC pretty soon into the game, could give you a little bit of a leg up. That's one thing that I would 100% do, is I will be taking Premier League for my starter nation. And then a little bit more about early access content, guys. The daily knockout tournament. Can I just control F? Tournaments right here, and look at this DKT that was mentioned a lot in here. Live tournaments and gauntlet. Right here, boom, this is what it is. This is crazy. Daily knockout tournament during early access. You're going to have one chance every day to run the table in this tournament. You have 5 entries, so you have one day during the week to do this, and you're going to have 4 rounds. So basically, it's a little bit confusing, I think, but the way that it sounds to me is you're trying to win the tournament, win 4 rounds and win the tournament. You get one chance every single day. And if you win the tournament one time, you will qualify for a one-time early access finale event. That sounds really cool. That's on the final day of early access as well. So it is a bit more of a competitive situation with this tournament, not more of a friendly one per se, but I think that's going to be worth trying for, right? And that means that we're going to need starter teams that are good straight away from the start of the game. That's going to be very interesting for the market, where we take a look at players like this Yilmaz, the 84 Lookman. There's going to be people that need squads the first day that they get on the game. When we get on the game the 19th or the 18th, whenever you log on and start playing matches, we're going to need a starter team to go into this DKT. Now, there are no requirements for this, as you can see here. You just have to have a squad that can play, field a team. But that's going to be where everybody is playing during early access. Now, I will say this. Once you win and go all the way through the tournament, you're not going to be able to play it again. That's how they said these tournaments were going to work. It would not refresh for you if you've already won all 4. So then theoretically, it would get easier as you got on throughout the week. As you went on throughout the week, there should be more people who had won the tournament, more of those higher skill players who had won, and it should be a little bit easier to complete. That's one thing that we'll just have to feel out. But that makes me ask another question. They mentioned returning user rewards in here again, right? Returning user rewards and graduated access. How good are our returning user rewards, aka welcome backpacks again? They say here that eligible players are coming from FC25, who are coming from 25, will receive early rewards to curate a squad and complete SBCs. So they know that we're going to need a team and we're going to need some fodder for SBCs. What packs are we exactly getting this year? Are they giving us more because we're going to have a DKT to play right away? That's a question that I have now. We'll just have to wait and see how those look on Wednesday. But that's a lot of early access content. And at the very end here of the early access content, it teased a promo that's coming on full release date, a brand new one that we don't know much about, but they told us a little bit about. Cornerstones, a spotlight on dependable leaders, pivotal long-term signings, and young talents. And again, we're going to talk about the power curve now. This is definitely topic number 2, but I'm really curious to know how big of a stat boost some of these cards are going to get. First of all, that card design for Cornerstones is pretty crazy. That's a GG from EA. That's a pretty sick one. And I love that we're starting off with a new promo. Those leaks last week about Road to the Knockouts, gone. Don't know when that promo is going to be, but it's not right now. Cornerstones is first. That is a W. Now, topic number 2 of discussion today is definitely the slower power curve. That was a lot. That was a lot of this article, not just under the slower power curve section. This is something EA has been talking about in whole bunches of different areas, and even different areas of this article it is mentioned in. Guys, it's very easy to applaud right now. Oh, the power curve's going to be slower. You know, it needed to happen. A lot of us agree on this, but I just want to put the expectation forth again that we need to actually lower our expectations a little bit. We need to get used to this, because from what we experienced in FC25, we were unhappy when player cards did not get very good boosts. Like when we went from a gold player to an inform, or from a first inform to a second inform, and we only saw +1s and 2s, we were over here being like, oh, disappointed, and this sucks, and this player isn't good enough. What is EA doing not upgrading these cards? Now, again, that was in the mindset and the scheme of FC25 that we felt like we needed those upgrades because that's what we were used to. Again, it's all about expectations, right? But this year, the rare golds, icons, and heroes, as they said, will set the benchmark for top squads deeper into the year. And from day zero, content is structured around this philosophy. I literally think the biggest thing that we're going to have to do this year is get used to cards not upgrading that much. It's not just about players that are going to get released in SBCs and in packs and stuff like that. It's about rewards. We're going to look at rewards in a second, how they've changed. And also, guys, evolutions. I think this is going to be a hard thing for a lot of people because this is kind of big, right? Evolutions in 26 are meant to give players greater control over their squads with personalized and accessible ways to upgrade player items. They said in FC26, evolutions will be more focused on boosting the level of bottom to middle tier items of your squad rather than consistently creating the items with the highest stats, although they'll still do that occasionally. So it sounds like we're still going to have the 500k Evo like Team of the Year blueprint or Strike Force that is super insane, that creates a card that instantly goes into your starting 11. But more commonly, what we're going to have is individual stat boost and cards that help you create club depth, like they mentioned here, especially with repeatable evolutions. The example that they use here with this Andy Robertson, which actually this could be an Evo that we get starting right at the beginning of FC26. This could be kind of a leak in itself because they said that the first week they're not going to allow the World Tour Silver Superstars to be implemented into this or the first season. And of course, that's a requirement right there. This only gives him +1 defending up to 82 on his card. So that's a very small upgrade, but still a one that you're going to want to put on a couple cards right away at the beginning. I just think, once again, that this whole situation with the power curve, we have to reframe our expectations a little bit. And if content's not going to move as fast, then gameplay is even more important. Not just the quality of the gameplay, but the gameplay content through the objectives, through the live events, through the gauntlets, through the tournaments, and even the friendlies and stuff like that. And even the stuff in Rivals, right? We have like the bounties and we have all the different checkpoint things that are new where you can get points along the way inside of Division Rivals. Gameplay has to be interesting and gameplay content has to be interesting if our actual content of the player cards that we're going to be getting is not going to jack us up as much in terms of hype because the stats aren't getting boosted up as much. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm feeling with this lower power curve situation. And then, of course, in terms of the market, when it comes to these cards, hopefully that means a better market for us this year. That's one of the things we've been excited for from the beginning, is the prospect that the market would not crash as much, that players would retain their value for longer. That all sounds great in theory. We'll just have to see how it works. And the last thing on this situation would be chemistry styles. Yes, I'm talking about chemistry styles in terms of the power curve because I believe that it does play into things. Chemistry styles have been nerfed basically. Instead of giving 4, 8, and 12 stat boost, depending on what chem style, 3, 6, and 9 point boost system is there now. And the pace trade-offs. Guys, really what I feel about this is that pacey cards are going to be even more important because then what you're going to want to do is on a card like Lookman, you're going to want to put a playstyle on him that maybe doesn't boost his pace. You want to boost up the passing and the shooting if you want to play him at cam. That's maybe not the best example because he only has, 86 pace, which is still good. But a card like Openda's already got 95 pace. Some of these chemistry styles that don't boost pace very much, like, maybe before you'd want to put, I don't know, not really would you want to boost the pace on Openda even more, but maybe some people would put a Hunter on him straight away, could max out his pace and really juice up his shooting. Well, now you're probably going to look towards something different because you're not going to touch the pace because you want a bigger boost in better areas. Maybe you're going to go with like a Deadeye to give him the attack positioning. You're going to give him more shot power. You get +9 finishing for a finisher, right? Of course, that would make sense. That would be a big upgrade for Openda there as well. Boost up his agility and his balance a little bit too. I think a finisher would be the key for that card, just to use him as an example. But I feel like cards that have more pace as their base stat are going to be more important because of the way these chemistry styles work, which again, I've heard a couple people mention this could mean things are more pay to win, and the pacey players and the players that have higher stats on their cards, just from a stock perspective, no chem styles added, would be more important, which I do think there is some validity to that. We'll just have to see how that feels in game as we go throughout the year. Now, topic number 3 that I want to dive into today, of course, is the biggest shock to the system, guys. and that is the silver superstars, silver icons. This was not on my bingo card to hear about from EA Sports. Silver level icons every single season based on the highlighted nation or theme of that season. They said here that the balance is something they're going to be working on in terms of the power curve and progression, but it sounds like what they're trying to do here is create more fun around silver tournaments, which that sounds amazing. It really does. And when you look at these cards with their very interesting dynamics, like these are the official cards, I believe, with their dynamics and how they're going to look in game and official stats as well. It's very interesting. And it does make you wonder, how is a Eusebio that's 73 rated with his body type and with a playstyle plus? He's got 55 passing, guys, but he's got rapid plus and 70 dribbling. Like, it's interesting enough that I want to use that card. I want to know how his 73 rated Eusebio feels, and I want to see in a silver tournament how these guys cook. But that's kind of what you're building towards with these cards each and every season. Now, as we've learned from the leaks as well, this ain't going to be easy to get these cards. This Eusebio in particular, you have to complete one of the two objectives to earn the reward. Score a goal in 100 separate squad battles matches on minimum professional difficulty, also in rivals, champs, and live events, using a Portuguese player. And then there's another one for using 6 Portuguese players in your starting 11. So either you're going to use a Portuguese striker and you're going to like evolve them and then play them in your main team for squad battles, rivals, and champs, and that's going to be a motivating factor for you to get this Eusebio card, or you're going to have to do a whole bunch of games of squad battles. Play 25 matches of squad battles with 6 Brazilian cards for this Garrincha here. I mean, most of the other cards as I look through the objectives are not as hard as Eusebio. Eusebio seems to be the most difficult. Garrincha is score in 15 separate squad battles or rivals champs using a Brazilian. That's way easier, right? Here's play 100 for Bobby Moore with a full English starting 11. Good gravy. That's a lot. So these cards are going to take a lot of effort and they're going to take a lot of grind. But if it's across the whole entire season that we have to get them, again, they're called like World Tour objectives. So it's kind of like you're getting these cards and trying to collect them by the end of the season so that you can get into, as they said here, a silver-only match-limited league where you can unleash your silver stars for unique international-themed rewards at the end of a season. Other more silver relaxed events may appear throughout the cycle. So it's going to be important to have silver cards in our team and then build towards these silver icons, I guess, which when I looked at these card designs before, I did not think icons, guys. None of us did, which that is one of the craziest things about this. It's going to take a good bit of a grind. Honestly, I don't want to really give too much of an opinion on that because I just don't know how it's going to feel yet. It seems like a lot of games and I don't love that. But at the same time, man, silver tournaments, that's one of the things that we wanted to see. And that is very exciting at the same time, even though it's difficult to complete. Now, last thing I want to talk about, and maybe we'll just touch on a couple of things here at the very end as well that are outside of scope, would be what they mentioned with the spooky favorites. Keep an eye out for more foot campaigns as well as the return of some spooky favorites. And we know exactly what that is. Ultimate Scream, guys. The 88 Zlatan Scream card. This would be the perfect opportunity for EA to drop the first Zlatan promo icon card of the year, 100%. Just throwing it back to his FIFA 20 Scream card that was sensational when he was at LA Galaxy. This Bernard, this Guerrero, Toni Kroos, Dele Alli. There were so many amazing cards from this FIFA 20 promo. This is a promo that I think a lot of people had wanted to see come back for sure. Rightly so, right? Rightly so. Let's hope this one does cook. We'll see if they do the whole 99 stat boosting thing again or if they don't. But this one will be a fun one for nostalgia purposes because it should bring some fun cards. The one other thing that I want to know with this is, take a look back to FIFA 20 here and see the card ratings of a lot of these. 91 rated, highest rated card in here. Most of them are between 84 and 87. You got a 90 Cruz, couple of 88s, couple of 87s, but the meat of your promo team here is from 84 to 85, 86, 87. And then you take a look at like gold rare cards. Like this promo drops in later October, of course, around Halloween. It's going to be going in like early November as well. And that's the level of cards that we were at in FIFA 20. And like some of these cards were really expensive. That Bobby Firmino was like 900,000 coins. He was an expensive card. Aguero was over $1 million, right? Insane stats. And then like an Otamendi, I think he was still like 100K for 80 pace, 85 defense, and 80 physical. And like you look at that Otamendi card, if we're not getting that until the end of October in FIFA 20, and you were looking at the card that we saw here for Tomori, similar in stats to that Otamendi card, a little bit better you could say, but similar at least. It's really interesting to really kind of make the connection with the power curve and where we're going in FC 26 is really not anything new. It's just returning back to normal. That's how the power curve feels for me when I look at it compared to that graphic of FIFA 20 cards there. Is like we're only going backwards, it seems, in power curve because FC 25 was so crazy and it just went off the walls and it felt like it was just unguarded. Like it just ran free and it went up too fast, obviously, as a lot of us have talked about. But it's actually just kind of taken us back down to ground level where we kind of need to be back in days like FIFA 20 where the power curve was in a much better place, in a much better situation. So there's a lot more to dive into with this. There's so much that we didn't even talk about today through this video. The reward changes, like we could talk about this for the power curve as well. I put out this tweet yesterday comparing the rewards from this year in FC 26 for rank 1 and champs compared to last year. There are some positives like getting campaign guaranteed cards, but you're getting less than half of the coins straight up. And that's going to impact the market a lot. Coins are going to be a lot more rare this year. Cards are hopefully going to maintain their prices better, and they're not going to go up super crazy high, and the market's not going to get super crazy inflated in October and early November. We will just have to see how this plays out. But that's all the reasons why people are getting really excited now for FC 26. Again, guys, let me know in the comments what part of this motivated you the most. Again, I'm saying all this. I'm very excited. I'm also maintaining that level of skepticism because EA could EA, and there's probably going to be some hiccups and problems. I'm not even talking about gameplay related. I'm talking about content related. There's probably going to be some issues in the early stages of the game as we figure out how this works with the new power curve and all that sort of stuff. But we're just going to have to keep providing our feedback. And also just remember that our expectations are going to have to be a little bit different compared to last year in FC 25, as we've mentioned many times, related to the power curve. All right, guys, that's the video for me today. If you did enjoy, drop a thumbs up on it, comment below if you have any questions, and of course, subscribe if you are new. And I will catch you guys in a video tomorrow where we are really ramping up the preparation for FC 26. Get ready. It's about time. Appreciate you guys. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the footy today. It's been TheFutAccountant. Catch you later. Peace out.